Clare, and welcome to the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, slicing into the GAA of the past, present and future. Join me, Jason Keelan, as we cut into the largest loaf of bread known to mankind.
Hello, Diegwich, bonjour, ni hao, konnichiwa, guten tag and privyet to you all wherever you're listening in. What started as a message to 10 clubs has now expanded to more than 50 clubs globally from all continents. The journey through Loaf 2 GAA Global continues this week as we move on to our next destination in the GAA world. So come with me on the GAA journey of a lifetime and meet clubs from Canada to Argentina, South Africa to Gibraltar, Bermuda to the North Pole, New Zealand to Kuwait, Knoxville to Qatar, and literally everywhere in between. So grab the passports, grab the bags, it's time to go.
Sawubona, Molo, Hallo, whichever way you want to say it, welcome to South Africa on the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast. On Slice 19 I have such an eye-opening chat with Derek from Mayfield in Cork and the wonderful development officer from South Africa himself, Luyanda, and life with South Africa Gaels GAA. It's brilliant to chat to them honestly about the amazing work being done by the South Africans on the GAA field, Luyanda working in GAA development, the need for GAA gear for the locals, taking on Australian and British teams, stories about Clare Island in -7 degrees, picking Athlone over Cape Town, World Games 2019, Luyanda being a Mayo fan, the Thailand tour, the money just resting in his account, starting a women's team, and Luyanda following the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast on Facebook. This is such a great chat with South Africa Gaels GAA. But first, as usual, let's take a trip through the amazing South Africa and see what the country has to offer us. Bon Sultas. Arriving in the Republic of South Africa, I hear the sounds of the legendary Ladysmith Black Mambazo. With a country of almost 50 million people, South Africa is one of the major nations in terms of size. Located, as the name suggests, at the bottom of the continent, it is the 6th most populated of the 54 African nations. It's also the most populated Southern Hemisphere nation. The country holds 3 capitals in Pretoria, Bloemfontein and Cape Town, but the largest city is Johannesburg. A little over 80% of the nation is of black African heritage, with a variety of neighbouring countries also living in the region. People from Eswatini, Mozambique, Lesotho, Namibia, Botswana and Zimbabwe, but to name a few. The country is home to some of the earliest notable evidence of human life on Earth, and it is widely accepted that it is on this continent that human evolution began. Gauteng in the northeast of the country is known as the cradle of humankind, suggesting the present-day evidence shows it is the oldest human evidence on Earth. In the 15th century, it was the Portuguese who arrived to the lands, first led by Captain Diaz. The most southern point today is known as the Cape of Good Hope, named by King John II due to being the route to the lucrative East Indies. Before that, it was named the Cape of Storms due to the major weather issues often faced by ships in the area. Poor Captain Diaz even passed the Cape without realising, so bad was the weather. As Portugal faded in power and the British focused on Ascension Island and St Helena in the ocean, the Dutch arrived. After surviving shipwrecks there, the Dutch found themselves enjoying their time on the lands and spoke highly on the return home. When they returned, they planted people on the lands, known as Vryburgers, free people. Over time this led to war between the local tribes and these new people. Again, some of these people established the customs of the area and called themselves Boers. By 1820 the British had also settled in the area as the European population expanded in the country. But things turned sour as the Boer War of 1880 kicked off between the British and the self-proclaimed Republic areas run by the Boer groups. The British lost but returned less than 20 years later in bigger numbers and much more violently. The use of types of concentration camps under the guise of Lord Kitchener, combined with burning out Boer farmers under the scorched earth policy, decimated the local people. Years after, the independence of South Africa was granted by the British, but it came with huge restrictions on local black Africans in terms of farm owning and real rights. Segregation was mostly informal and minimal, but things soon changed. In 1948, the National Party was elected in South Africa. 3 races were labelled in the country and, unsurprisingly, the white minority controlled almost everything. The 1961 Republic vote passed, making the nation free of Queen Elizabeth II as official head of state. Ironically, only white people were allowed to vote. Despite both sides of Parliament being opposed, the ruling government continued with the rules of apartheid. Black Africans' conditions worsened while white peoples lived in relative luxury in a land that wasn't even theirs. As apartheid grew, countries began to avoid engaging with the nation. And it is here that the Irish link starts.
3 months ago, a 20-year-old cashier at Dunnes Stores in Henry Street, Dublin, said she wouldn't handle South African fruit because of the treatment of blacks in the country. She was suspended. 12 of her colleagues joined her on the picket line. They are also refusing to handle South African fruit.
We had got a union instruction not to handle South African goods, and when we all decided, the girls were out on strike here now, and some of the girls who were in work and decided that we wouldn't handle the goods. And when I refused to handle them, the rest of the girls had been refusing to handle them as well, but there's a man dressed behind my register when I actually refused, and I was brought up to the office and told I was given a few minutes to think about what I was after doing, and I didn't change my mind, and then they suspended me then indefinitely until I came back in and handled the goods.
In July 1984, Mary Manning was working in Dunnes Stores on Henry Street in Dublin when she made the stand to not handle grapefruit from South Africa. She, along with fellow worker Karen Gearan, were suspended. 12 of their colleagues then joined the protest. The protest received national coverage in Ireland. Soon, Archbishop Desmond Tutu heard and even met with the protesters en route to receiving his Nobel Prize. When his invitation to South Africa saw the protesters refused entry to the country, it made world news, and the public outcry against the goods grew. In 1987, Ireland became the first nation in the entire world to fully refuse South African goods. Today, Mary Manning Street in South Africa remains, as do the documentary Blood Fruit, the song Dunnes Stores, and a plaque, all of which are lasting memories to the events. In 1990, newly released prisoner and rising South African political leader Nelson Mandela met the protesters and showed his support. Mandela himself had spent the last 27 years in prison in his native land over an anti-government campaign in the 60s. Mandela was released by white South African President F.W. de Klerk in 1990. Madiba, as he is known still in memory today, worked tirelessly to achieve peace and prosperity for his native lands. In 1994, Mandela was elected as president. His ability to unify people of all sides was key in the ending of apartheid in reality, not just on paper. His passing of the Rugby World Cup winning trophy to Captain Francois Pienaar in 1995 is a lasting symbol of forgiveness and prosperity in a land often divided by foreign invaders in history. On the landmark tourist site, Table Mountain provides amazing views of the city of Cape Town. Of course, many visitors come to the country to see the amazing wildlife on the safari tours or to visit the wine areas and vineyards that South Africa is famous for. Many have said that it is the greatest country in the world for tours, some of which are absolutely unique. On the sporting side, South Africa competes at the top level in many sports. Rugby union is a favourite of many in the country, and the list of iconic names is long and distinct and growing still. From Brian Habana to Percy Montgomery, Schalk Burger to John Schmidt, Victor Matfield to Tende Matawira, and the great Juice van der Westhuizen, all down to current World Cup winning captain Sai Kalisi, who lifted the trophy in Japan in 2019 after a literal sensational display by the Springbok. Kalisi became the first black African winning captain, having grown up in the Idawawe township outside Port Elizabeth. South African cricket is another of the key sports in the country, but the nation has failed to win the World Cup despite being ranked number 1 on several occasions. Their main win came in '98 when they won the ICC Champions Trophy under captain Hansi Cronje. Jacques Kallis, A.B. de Villiers, Sean Pollock, Graham Smith and Hashim Alma are the key players in their history. In soccer, South Africa has produced many players of note, with quite a few playing in top leagues. The likes of Lucas Radebe, Benny McCarthy, Phil Masinga, Quinton Fortune and Mark Fish are just some names who have graced the Premier League. Stephen Pienaar's appearance in 2017 was the last of the Bafana Bafana in the English top league, but it is perhaps the World Cup held in South Africa in 2010 where any of us who saw it will remember the name of the opening goal scorer of the tournament.
What do you say? It's a really good ball. It's Shabalala! Goal! Bafana Bafana!
South Africa Gaels GAA was founded in 2010 by a mix of expats from Ireland and England, such as Paul Carpenter, but has since brought in many of the local South African people too. It is perhaps fitting that the birth of GAA in the country should be in Gauteng, the birth of humanity. In 2019 the club came to Ireland, having visited in 2016. They took on Ballyboden en route to the World Games, as manager Greg Herity is from the club. Their enthusiasm and skill set, combined with their athletic ability and desire to succeed, meant they've become a major force in the GAA globally. While at Ballyboden, Greg and the club did a great drive for boots and GAA gear. And so in recent times I've worked to try and restart this. So anyone listening who has boots, jerseys, socks, shorts, etc., do let me know. And thank you to the many people who have already contacted and donated so far. It's great to see. So let's get to the beautiful South Africa, and to Derek and Luyanda, and find out all about life in the South African Gaels GAA club.
How are things?
Oh, yeah. Good in yourself?
I'm not so bad. How is all in South Africa?
Good. By way of introduction, this is Luyanda. He's one of our development officers here.
Awesome.
Greg Herity was going to join us. He's the coach, but he's been a bit held up, so he's stuck with me. I'm the secretary of the SA Gaels here.
Fair play. And what brought you out there, or where are you from originally in Ireland?
I'm from Cork, Mayfield, Roy Keane country.
Oh, brilliant.
And
much better.
my wife's South African. We met in Trinidad and we moved over. I've been here 10 years now.
Oh, wow. And the club has been going a while. I know that because I met them in 2016, hence why I've got this on. So when they were over here. So what got you involved in the club?
Well, actually, it started by accident. I think around 2013, I posted something on Facebook, and I hadn't met any Irish people. And then one of the lads in the Gaels saw it and introduced himself. And there was a Super League going on at the time. Before I knew it, I was togging out and playing in the Super League. But I'm getting a bit old for that now, so I fell into the administration side a little bit more.
Not too bad. You're never too old. You're a Cork man. You're definitely not too old.
And where are you from originally, Jason?
Mullingar, and that's where I am at the moment. I've been up in Dublin for about the last 12, 13 years. I still teach in Dublin, but I decided to move home about a year ago, and I commute up and down to Dublin. I just like the school that I'm in up there. I don't really want to leave it, so I don't mind driving up in the mornings anyway. It's not the worst thing in the world. So, what's the makeup of the club like at the moment? What's your membership numbers and all that like?
It's hard to describe the Gaels in that sense, Jason, because we don't have official members in that sense for reasons which I won't bore you with now. But so we have a senior men's and a senior ladies team.
Okay.
So the biggest thing, so we've got the South African Gaelic South African Gaelic Sports Foundation and the South African Gaelic Sports Association. So we are the GAA, we are a charity, and we are a team, sort of rolled into one. But it's quite a small undertaking. We don't have a permanent home. We don't have a GAA club physically and our own pitch. It's wherever we land up and wherever we play. But Luyanda is like the heart and soul of the Gaels in most ways, because he's in the schools every week giving training to the kids. That's the core mission of the Gaels, is to get kids in underprivileged areas in South Africa access to high quality sports. The senior team is more of a byproduct of all of that. It's not our core focus. Obviously we love playing as well, but getting the kids playing is what we're really about.
Okay. And how do you find Luyanda, how do you find going into schools? Is it easy to get kids involved?
So far, because of COVID, it's bad, man. Yeah. But past few years, we had a great support from the schools. So kids love Gaelic football. We will have 100 kids per school. So it's amazing.
So it's possible in the future that there might be a South Africa Gaels team made of entirely South African children?
Yeah, it's possible. And we have such good players also. Yeah.
Okay. Have you been involved in the club long, Luyanda?
Yeah, I think I'm recognizing you from some. Have you played against us?
No, I haven't anyway. I'm useless at Gaelic football.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, I've been in three tours.
Okay.
Basically, in Ireland, Second World Games.
Yeah.
And The third one. The last one was in 2019.
In Waterford, I think, wasn't it?
It's in Waterford.
Yes. And did you just bring a football team from South Africa?
So we really only have indigenous players here.
Yes.
We don't have enough.
We don't have enough
Irish guys to actually form an expat team. So we brought the men's and the ladies team.
Yes.
The ladies team do quite well as well. So one of our other development officers, Mavis, she's like Luyanda, they sort of do everything. So to call them a development officer would be an understatement of note, because they literally do everything. So like I'll say, you know, training's on this Sunday and it's this time and it's here, and they'll do organization, they'll bust everybody in and like just coming together and doing amazing things. So but Mav is also a very good player, and we've got some very good ladies players as well. They play a lot of soccer here as well, and a couple of rugby players. So when it comes time to put our team together for the overseas tours, we do put good teams. Like in 2018, we won both the men's and the ladies in the FEXCO Asian Gaelic Games in Singapore.
Oh, okay.
Which, because actually
it was in Thailand, not in Singapore.
Yes, in Thailand. You're right. Sorry, I didn't go. I'm the guy that sits behind here and organizes all the tours, but never gets to go on there. So I said to the lads, the next one I'll be up the front of the plane. Don't you worry. But so the funny thing is, we won both the men's and the ladies in the junior, and I was very tempted to put them into the intermediate. And one of the lads who started up the Gaels in 2010, Paul Carpenter, he's in Singapore now, and he's very instrumental in the Asian Gaelic Games community there. And he was like, competition's going to be fierce here. I think you need to go into the juniors. And they went in there and they took on all comers and they won both of them.
That's amazing. That's it's funny you said Thailand, because they're actually they're the next team coming on. And ironically, their main guys from Mullingar, or well, just outside Mullingar here in Rosemount. So I wonder if they've been there a while. I think I must ask them, have they any memories of maybe playing against you guys or any of that as well? Do you remember who you played against in Thailand? Any of the teams?
Play against the Thailand.
Unfortunately, I was not selected, so I was in there.
It's a tough selection process, is it?
Yeah, it is, especially for a men's team.
That's a good sign. Yeah, it's a good sign, I suppose, if there is a competition process, because a lot of clubs I've on are like struggling to field 7, 8, 9 players. Yeah. So you guys are obviously not in that boat, thankfully, which is good. So, and you were saying about like a pitch. Is it just literally wherever you can find space? Is there many sort of rules and problems with getting access to playing pitches?
There's huge problems logistically. So what we're trying to do now is fix that in the long term. So I live in an area called Santon, and just down the road there's a massive sports club with they've got, it's called Action Soccer over here. We call it like 5-a-side at home. They've got 2 full-length soccer pitches. I just took Luyanda down there now before we came here for the meeting to show them around. They've got tennis courts, they've got a gym, they've got everything. And there's actually a South African Premier League soccer team that trains down there. So because I live close by, I actually want to change a little bit of the structure of the Gaels and make it not an expat community, but I want to make it a South African, and let it be, you know, self-perpetuating in the future, where it's run by South Africans, because the Irish community here is quite small. So I want to get into that sports club, and I've just got some admin to do on that side, and actually have a permanent home for the first time. We used to play, if you follow cricket, like even peripherally, the South African men's cricket team, the Proteas, play very often at Wanderers Cricket Club, and they rugby pitches next door, and that's where we used to play all the Gaels training and our Super Leagues there. But hopefully moving into a new home soon.
Is it the same for sponsorship? Have you got like the traditional Irish pub that every other club in the world seems to have sponsoring you?
We don't. We're actually in discussion with somebody, so I won't chuck in their name, but a well-known Irish brand, let's put it that way. And they've worked with us in the past, but we're still chatting with them quite a bit, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. But we technically don't have sponsors at the moment in that sense. So my wife's an optometrist, and so when we do a Super League, each team they'll actually be called the name of the sponsors if you're with me. So we had Rosewall Mccarthy. So she's Rosewall, I'm Mccarthy. So Rosewall Optometrist was one of the sponsors, for example. And then we do have a number of expats here, like FEXCO we worked with quite a lot. And
Ligusasa,
QK Meats.
QK.
So it's South African companies or companies that exist in both, but have somebody Irish very high up in the organization who helps us with a bit of sponsorship. But sponsorship's a tricky one. But the GAA, there's a massive amount of goodwill with the GAA, and they help us out hugely. And O'Neill's as well when it comes time to put kits together and everything. O'Neill's are fantastic.
Yeah,
that's why we've got a number of very nice jerseys over the years.
Yes, you have. Yeah, there's I was going to ask as well about the rivalry, because you're not exactly blessed where you are with a lot of teams to compete against, say on the continent. So who do you generally play games against when it comes to it, like for practicing to go to Thailand and come to Ireland?
Yeah, so the normal structure that we follow, if we've got a tour coming up, because everything centers around the tour, is then we'll try and do a Super League beforehand, and that gets the guys tuned up. Because as you know, I mean, the first training session you do after 6-9 months, I look at the lads and I think, have they ever played Gaelic football before? But then 3-4 weeks of competition and they're finely tuned athletes ready to go overseas and take on all comers, you know. So yeah, we try and run a Super League for about 6-7 weeks before a tour. And then the amazing thing is that the clubs, when I say clubs, the teams in the Super League come into existence like that. But there's already a rivalry between them because they all know each other, but now they're on the opposite side of the fence. That sports rivalry just pops into existence immediately. So that's what at least gives us that competitive edge.
I really like that. Yeah, that sounds like a great way to do things. Yeah, just put everyone on the same team and then just split them up and then just say, no, actually, you don't like each other. Today, you don't like anybody. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah. That's a really good way of doing it. Yeah.
That's it.
Luyanda, do you remember your playing your first game with the club?
Yeah, it was. I played for Singapore.
You played for Singapore?
We had a guy that started Gaelic football, basically. One of them, what's his name?
Paul Carpenter.
Paul Carpenter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he organized. He said there are guys they are short of players. So he wanted 3 players from South Africa. So they selected us and we went there. And we won. Nice. That was my first medal for Gaelic football. Anyway.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah. Do you remember the match itself? Do you have a position in general on the pitch, or?
I do have. I'm playing at the back.
Okay.
I'm a centre back. Yes.
And do you like that position, or would you rather be a forward?
I'd love to be a forward. Due to my experience to 2019 World Games in Waterford, we didn't score too many goals. So yeah.
Leander's pitching his case for the next tour.
So for the next tour, I'm sure if I'm selected, I'll be playing forward.
Okay, you'll have to make sure that we'll have to put this out. Yeah.
Every centre back in every code in sport thinks that they can play up front.
As Luyanda, have you got the pace to be a good centre back? Because every centre back usually at some stage ends up as a forward and then runs back and then runs forward. Is that your role on the pitch?
Yeah, I do have the pace, but I think I'm the last guy in the team. But I do have the stamina, though. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good sign. Yes. Do you remember the 2019 experience in Waterford? Do you remember much of that?
Yes, I do. Especially our first game, it was hard. I think we thought after the game, we thought we were playing a final. We were playing against Australia, so we drew against them. So, and what they did, what we've noticed, we're in the same hotel. So we've noticed that they are playing AFL, Australian football.
Yeah.
So they're good in the air. So we do have some players that play AFL also.
Okay.
So we plan for them. Yeah. Then the height, they were very tall. So we shot. Yeah. So they were playing high balls. So we were just punching the balls down, then picking them up. So our strategy, we played very quick football. So we were competitive against them. They were so surprised anyway to see South Africans so competitive against them.
They obviously haven't watched a South African rugby match before then to know the competitiveness of South Africa.
And all of our games were tough. No country wanted to lose against South Africa. You see, so the matches that we watched before those teams were playing against those nations before they played against us, they were not that good. But against us, wow, hey, it was hard.
Yeah,
it was very hard.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. It's nice to be the underdog sometimes. I suppose. I suppose as the likes of like South Africa's like Rugby World Cup win and like Saya Khaleesi and all that, has that inspired people to take up things like GAA and just get involved in sport who maybe wouldn't normally get involved?
Saya Khaleesi is an inspiration to our country, in a way. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his. Yeah, the last book that I bought, it's on the shelf behind me somewhere, but it's the Green Blood book, I think, which is about the Rugby World Cup win. That's the last book I read. Yeah, he's pretty amazing. Yeah, I was reading a bit of his backstory as well. It's quite inspirational. So, and then Derek, have you introduced the South Africa team to the likes of the Sunday Game and Marty Morrissey and Des Cahill and all them?
So we, as I said, the community here is a bit small, but we do get together for maybe the semi-finals and the finals of the football, and depending who's in the hurling as well. Being from Cork, I'm more of a hurling man at heart, but I embrace Gaelic as well. But so last year we watched it because one of the lads is from Waterford, so he was super keen to watch the final. Not so keen after it, but we have streamed on GAA Go a number of games, and the lads do come and watch it. But one of the best things about it being in the era that we're in now, chatting on Zoom and things, is that you can share something on YouTube or WhatsApp video or something so easily now, and the lads playing can see what that high level game looks like. And it's fundamentally different to what we do because it's 15 aside, right? And we're playing the annotated rules, but they're still seeing those top level athletes and amateur athletes still, as we know, who are playing at that crazy level. And I think it increases the appetite for the sport. But you know what, in saying that, Jason, there's no lack of appetite here because of COVID. The senior team hasn't played over a year, and whenever I'm chatting with the lads, badgering me, say, when are we playing? And even with the schools now, Luyanda was telling me on the way here, because so the schools only opened up like a month, 6 weeks ago, and now they shut down last week again because we're looking at a third wave here at the moment. He's saying, the kids, like Luyanda was even saying, some of the kids were crying.
Yeah,
it was an emotional day. It was hard to tell them that the sport has been suspended in schools. It was a bad reception. Yeah, so they love the sport.
Oh yeah, naturally. Yeah, it's supposed to be it's like telling the Irish kids here when COVID came, your football season is cancelled, go home. I think sport is universal in that way. Everybody is upset when it's not on. Even watching on the telly with no fans is kind of boring in some ways as well. So, so you've have you got an adopted Irish county that you can support, that you can follow back in Ireland? Has Derek given you Cork to follow, or
watch what you say here very carefully, and be very careful what you say.
Anybody except Cork, just not Cork. Yeah. You can pick Westmeath if you want.
I'd say Mayo.
Oh,
Mayo.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh God. Yeah, I'd say Mayo. I love Mayo.
Okay.
Pardon?
Why Mayo?
The reason, I think they're playing good football in a way. Yeah, they've been to finals, so they competitive against Dublin. Yeah.
Okay, I think South Africa would beat Mayo. I hope South Africa would beat Mayo. Okay, so
watching the lads play, I was never any good at Gaelic football. I think I stopped when I was about 12. But watching the lads play, because they played, the lads on the team with Luyanda played rugby, and they picked up hurling very quickly as well when we brought a hurling and a slitter down to training, because a lot of lads have played cricket, and I watched them play. So we've got good, strong athletes. They're fast. They played a lot of soccer. They played a lot of AFL, as Luyanda has mentioned, and they picked up Gaelic football so fast that I would and I don't say this flippantly, I would say a couple of the lads on our senior team, had they been schooled in their home for the years, would have made intercounty, no problems.
True.
They would have played for Mayo, Dublin, anybody. We've got serious talent here.
Are they interested in playing for Westmeath at the moment? Because we're getting hockeyed every weekend. So,
are you stuck?
we took the beating. I know this won't air for a few months, but like last week we took the beating of a lifetime against Cork, as you probably know yourself. I heard that we got 15 points because we didn't get to see the game, and I was like, oh, that's not so bad. And then one of the lads said Cork got 7-27, and then I went, right, okay. It's an interesting one, I suppose, because I don't really. My wife has been to South Africa a few times, I think 3 times maybe, and she worked in Uganda as well for a while, and she started in South Africa and she worked her way up through Lesotho and Swaziland, and she's been to a lot of that part of the world. But the celebrations and stuff, how do they work? Because every club that comes on has kind of had the big Irish night out. What's the celebrations like after a game?
It's a hard one to answer. Lou, do you want to start?
No, okay. It's a hard question to answer.
So when, like, the problem we've had, Jason, in the last few years is that the Irish community has shrunk.
Yeah.
And that's how I was the last person left in the room who could be secretary of the club. That's how I came about. So when I started playing in 2013, there was a lot of projects here, gas pipelines and whatnot. There was a lot of engineers and other lads around my age who were here a year or two. And what we started to see was people were leaving and nobody else was coming in. And there's a few political reasons behind that as well, which I won't get into, but the younger community in South Africa has shrunk quite a lot. And that's also why the model going forward is it'll have to be sustainable on its own. And I know that's worked overseas. I don't know if you've chatted with the lads in Spain, but the association that they've gone on there, it's mostly Spanish lads. And they've got I think there's 11, 13 clubs somewhere in that area in Galicia, and it's incredible. So that's the only fundamental model that will work for us going forward, unless the environment changes and we get an influx of more. Although I've met a couple of lads recently, I try not to hit them on the first night out where you're having pints. Just come, let's get on the Gaels committee. But I'll try and suck them into the ecosphere sooner or later. But so to get back to your question, the challenge we always have is organizing a tour in itself is a momentous thing. So what we try and do is have a bit of a night out when the lads come back, but we haven't been able to do it even the last 2 tours. But that being said, now, Luyanda, maybe you can say on the last World Games, what was it like when you guys finished up in Waterford and had a night out?
Oh, it was great. Dancing. Yeah. That's all I can say. So
that's all he wants.
Yeah. That's the only thing I want to keep away. Because we were said we lost the quarterfinals, so we're in that happy in anyway.
Okay, so definitely we're out to win. Yeah, Leander's a real Irishman at heart. I think what happens in the pub stays in the pub and doesn't want to be released to the rest of the world. I like that. Yeah, that's definitely a good Irish way of doing things. What would you say, Leander, is the best moment you've had at the club?
My best moment. It was in Clare Island.
Clare Island, okay.
We visited, Clare Island. It was, I think, -7. There was a wind. We played a game there. It was very cold.
Yeah,
that was my best moment ever. And the people there were so friendly. Yeah, that's my best moment.
That's amazing. Yeah, Clare Island. I wasn't expecting you to say Clare Island. Yeah, -7 sounds about right. Yeah, that's a good normal warm day in Clare Island. Yeah, -7. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, did you come in 2016?
Yes.
When you got
2016 was Dublin, wasn't it?
Yeah, you got to.
But it's Dublin. There's a team that we played. I don't remember the name of the team. Yeah. Okay. It was wearing white and green.
Oh,
but this was a club. So the last time
was a club. Yeah.
In 2019, we played against St. Endes.
Did you get to meet any? I know there was a lot of photos with the Dublin team at the time. Did you get to hang out with them or meet them?
We just played a game. Then after a game, we just had a chat for 5 minutes. Then we left.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it looked like in the photographs, it looked like you spent all day together. Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
No, it wasn't like that.
Okay, quick chat out the door. That sounds about right. Yes. If you had the chance, Luyanda or Derek, either of you, if you brought South Africa to Ireland, which county would you most like a game against?
Dublin.
You want to play against Dublin?
Straight in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Yes. Derek, would you like a shot against Cork, or would you be happy enough to take on the Dubs?
Yeah, you know what, we the experience against Ballyboden, because I was following the whole thing online. It was brilliant.
It was brilliant.
We had a whole event there, and so Greg, who was supposed to be on the call this morning, he's from Ballyboden was his team going up.
Okay.
So he was able to organize that. If you go on actually balls.ie, I'll actually forward you the link after. They did a whole feature on it.
Yeah.
And it was such a. I was following it online and it looked absolutely amazing. And what they did for us then as well is they did a boot and a kit drive. So they organized, I think we ended up with something like 23, 24 boxes of kit.
Wow.
Football boots, jerseys, you name it, the lot, so that we can give out to the kids here and like the seniors as well, some good kit, because it's all about the access to the sport for us. Now, unfortunately, it's been held up at customs in Durban for pretty much forever. But we're hoping that in the next month or two that'll come, and when we come out of this issue that we're currently battling with, we'll have a sort of a get together for everybody, a family day, and maybe a blitz, and then the kit and all the players, and just give them good quality kit, because you'd be amazed. We don't like to overplay the poverty aspect here too much, but kids are playing barefoot, and they're playing in their one pair of shoes that they own. They're playing training in that as well. So like I said, we don't want to focus on it too much. We don't want to be poor mouth and all that, but at the same time, we are about giving kids access to the sport. So just that one thing alone, that kit drive, will be massive for us in what we can do in the community here.
Yeah,
but I think at Ballyboden there was a fair bit of a party afterwards as well.
It was.
That's that kit drive is interesting. Yeah, I know. Yeah, as you said, you don't want to play the poverty thing, but at the same time, you're being realistic, I suppose, that a bit of help goes a long way, as they say. So yeah, that's an interesting one. I must probably remember that as well. Have your kids been stuck in Durban like for that long? Are they there months or weeks, or how long?
It's over a year now. Greg has actually been dealing with them, and so it came by boat, so it took months. I foolishly volunteered that I would keep it in my back garden because I thought we were talking about 2-3 boxes, and then was informed that there's about 30 boxes of kit. So telling my wife that story was a fun morning for me. But we'll figure it out when we make plans. But we get a lot of help from the Irish Embassy here, and the Irish South African Association, and also Business Ireland South Africa. So all of the Irish organizations that are here, they all have adopted the Gaels sort of as their own. Like even last year when lockdown hit really hard, there was a GoFundMe where we could just put together like food parcels for the lads that were really struggling, and I know that was really appreciated by some of this, because you can make a huge difference here. I mean, I don't know what it's called at home, but that payment that sort of everybody was getting that was out of work. That level of money here you'd be laughed at if you suggest that level of thing. So if we can put together like a food parcel for what we would term at home roughly, let's call it like €60 worth of food, will go so far here, and you can sustain a family for weeks through the rough period on that. So just the fact that we're able to have that impact here is huge, and that we're able to facilitate it. And so that was, I think, the Department of Foreign Affairs gave us some money via the Irish South African Association, and then the Irish community donated. We had a webinar, we all got together, and there was a GoFundMe page set up. So the impact that something that we would consider as small yet valuable at home goes so far here, and what you can do with it is just phenomenal. The impact you can have on people's lives.
From my experience, it was very phenomenal. It really helped us a lot because there was no income. It really helped us a lot. Some of the guys, even today, they're still thanking the SA Gaels for that. Some of them sustain them for 2 months.
Wow, that's a long time. Yeah, that wouldn't, in Ireland, like €60 could be gone on petrol. And that'd be it.
See, you surprise yourself.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. What as in terms of maybe work then, Derek? What is your like profession as such out there?
I'm an optician, but I work for a spectacle lens manufacturing company. So I make the lenses and the glasses. My wife's an optometrist. As I said, she's down the road. I ended up here more by accident, whereas a lot of the Irish community, they get offered a contract overseas and they go for a year, or maybe they stay on and stay a few years. Actually, funny enough, I was just telling Luyanda, so my next door neighbour here, when we moved in, I introduced her to her now husband, who's from Kerry, and he was the coach of the Gaels for a number of years. They've moved to Dubai now together, but he pops back every once in a while. But he's an example of what you'd most have. So he's an electrical engineer, if I remember correctly. Came for a contract and ended up staying 5-6 years. So that's what we're missing at the moment, and that's why the Irish community has shrunk that a little bit. That's what I do for a living. Lou is obviously employed by the Gaels then as a development officer to go into the schools. But a lot of work with. He was telling me about a soccer team on the way here as well.
Yeah.
What's the soccer team like?
They're pretty good.
They're pretty modest.
They're always winning with 2 numbers. So only lost 2. Yeah.
Wow.
and
they're
playing today.
Oh, they're playing against who? A local team or?
Against Sunward Park in Benoni.
Okay. Is soccer still like the only team I'm probably few teams I'm familiar with would be like the Kaiser Chiefs, I think, and Orlando Pirates, aren't they South African?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the 2 biggest teams in Joburg.
Yeah. 2 biggest teams, yes.
Okay. And whereabouts are you guys actually? I should have asked. What city are you guys in? Durban, or whereabouts are you?
We're in Joburg, and we're in the northern suburbs of Joburg.
He's in the northern, I'm in the distance.
Okay.
Eastern,
yeah.
Okay. So the 2 clubs that you name now, Kaiser Chiefs and Orlando Pirates, when they play, they call that the Soweto Derby because they're both in Soweto, which is
nice.
Half an hour from here. And you'll get, 60,000-70,000 people at a game?
Wow. 90,000.
Yeah.
Wow. Have they got any standout players that we would maybe know the names of? Or?
So one of the biggest players that you'll probably be familiar with is Benny Mccarthy, and he's managing now who Amazulu.
Who else?
Yeah. And then
that's the only guy.
Stephen Pienaar came back a couple of years ago. He was playing with Everton Spurs. Yeah. He played with Witwatersrand University, which is roughly the equivalent of UCD. He came and played there for a couple of years. Who else is the big name players now?
Percy Tau. He's in England.
Brighton, I think.
Brighton and Wolverhampton, something.
Yeah.
Okay. Benny Mccarthy, I got to see play before. He played a game. I was at Old Trafford before, and he was actually playing for Blackburn, I think, at the time against Man United.
Really?
Yeah, it's true. Yes.
Yeah.
He was almost, I think, the leading goal scorer in England.
Yeah, he was pretty good. Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he's a good footballer. Yeah. My favorite South African footballer ever was Chabalala. 2010. Yeah, I loved him. I thought he was just the best player ever. Yeah.
He scored that goal that he's famous for.
He's famous for that goal.
Yeah.
You even meet people from, I think, Kazakhstan. They'll tell you about Chabalala. I was so shocked.
That was amazing. I was in Scotland at my friend's house for that World Cup, and I remember when Shabalala scored, everybody in Scotland was just going around singing Shabalala's name all day long. It was brilliant. Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, and then on the rugby side, Leander, do you follow the rugby then as well?
Yep. Yeah, I do.
Have you got a favorite player on the South African team?
So far, who can I say is my favorite player? De Klerk is my favorite player.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
We're big fans of Faf de Klerk over here as well. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And Peter Steff is our other favorite player.
Yeah.
Peter Steff du Toit. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, the most famous South African here ever, I think, was Matuwira the Beast, as they called him. He was the iconic player in Ireland for a long time. Everybody knew who he was.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Not Habana.
Habana was very good, yeah. But when I went to watch South Africa play Ireland in Dublin here, and even the Irish fans started shouting "Beast" when he got the ball. So I just thought this guy is obviously some sort of hero back in South Africa. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't know a lot about
just such a likable guy.
He seems that way. Yeah, I don't know much about South African cricket other than like I think it's De Villiers and a few others, but it's not. Ireland is a growing cricket country. We're also we used to be better at it maybe a few years ago. We're not as good at it anymore, I think. So is cricket still up there with the biggest sports in the country?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
It's another sport like rugby that I think brings everybody together.
Yes, it is. It's a very big sport. And my favorite player now, also who?
Temba.
Yeah.
Temba Bavuma. No, you don't like Temba Bavuma. He's a great fielder.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure. I can't.
That's okay.
What about Rabada? He's Rabada.
No.
Really great bowler. Eh?
Yeah.
So I was big into cricket when I was at home.
Okay.
And when Ireland started to get good at it, I loved it here. So I watched, the first year I was here was the year that Ireland beat England in the World Cup. So I was following that game at work and not doing very much work, as you can imagine. And then left work early to go to the pub and was like the only Irish guy in there, like screaming at the TV when Kevin O'Brien was smacking them around the patch.
That's right, yeah.
That's something that I enjoyed quite a lot.
Yeah. I was in India the week after that game. That was pretty amazing because I wrote to it's a guy I knew who knew a guy in the Irish Cricket Association, and I said, I'm going out, like, and the World Cup was, just finishing up. I was like, is there any chance you've got a jersey lying around, because I can't buy one anywhere? And he sent me out a jersey, and I wore this jersey around like New Delhi and week after the game, and it was like, oh my god, everyone just knew Kevin O'Brien. That was it. Nobody else knew, like, George Dockle or any afterwards. Nobody knew George Dockle or any other of these players. It was just Kevin O'Brien was the only Irish cricketer that existed. It was like he just batted and fielded the whole game by himself. That was pretty.
And I think I think there's going to be a tour. I'm not sure if South Africans are playing here or in Ireland.
Oh yeah, Ireland. I think didn't they just recently I think Ireland are coming here for a couple of games.
Okay.
I just read something about that recently. I didn't see all the details. Yeah, you're right.
Hopefully they've been not playing the best from what I've heard lately. So South Africa will probably be murdering most teams, I would say. So Ireland would want to be hopeful for the South Africa B team maybe or something, because although it's nice to play against, the big names. So
it's not nice to get hammered every week, though.
You're as a Cork man from last week's hurling, you're telling me that.
Yourself. You're testing yourself.
Yeah, put yourself up against the best. Yeah. Have you, Derek? It's a question I ask all the clubs because I'm a huge fan. But have you managed to install any Father Ted on the South African community?
So my wife has watched the whole series from start to finish. She'll do a very good Father Jack impression for you, but we'll probably need a couple of drinks in her to pull it out. Not on the general South African community at large. That sort of comes out in the WhatsApp groups. There's choice Father Ted memes that is always a great reply to whatever somebody said. For example, even with the Gaels, we joke about it because of like getting money from the DFA and the GAA. You have to set up, what joke is going there, right?
Yeah.
So you have to set it up proper. The banking has to be done properly, and the administration, it's an SA Gaels account. And I'm like, no, just put it in my account for a while. I can just rest there for a while. And then I'll send it on to you. There's choice. I must do that, actually. It's a good point. I should just get the lads together and play some Father Ted episodes for them. It'd be good crack.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's part of every Irish person who's abroad. As part of your homework is to get Father Ted installed in pretty much every country in the world. Yeah. So you haven't shown Luyanda some of the great moments then yet, have you?
No, I did. I'll chuck on a couple on YouTube after we're done here and show them what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Have you seen? There's a series on Netflix at the moment called The Good Place. Have you seen that at all?
No.
All right, give it a shot when you get the chance. Right? Just for one specific reason. My wife and I were watching it the other night, and there's one character in there, and I was like, he reminds me of some. And I was like, it's Dougal. This guy is basically Dougal. They've clearly watched Father Ted, copy and pasted this character in, and just made him look a little bit different. But he just says and does exactly the same things as Dougal. I'll show you some episodes now. Do you know Dougal?
Yeah, but some adverts and stuff. I've never watched.
Okay, I'll show you a clip or two after we're done.
Good Place. Okay, I have to check that one out. That's my homework, so I'll get my homework done definitely. Yeah. There's a couple of last questions, and they're all kind of fun ones in some ways. They're themed to suit every club. So these are the South African themed questions. And Derek, you might be able to answer a few. Leander, you might be able to answer a few as well. They're very Irishy, some of them, but and they're stupid, so it's fine. There's no, it's not a test, so don't worry. If you could choose between Table Mountain or Crowpatrick.
Table Mountain.
All right, I'll go with the Table Mountain then.
Okay, Table Mountain. So, the famous garden route in South Africa or Ireland's Wild Atlantic Way tourist route.
I would say Island Atlantic.
Yeah,
I would have to go. I did the garden route a couple of years ago, and it is absolutely spectacular. So I'm going to be politically correct there and say the garden route.
Okay, I like that Leander went for the Wild Atlantic Way because he's played on Clare Island. He knows what it's about, playing in the wind in Clare Island. So.
Yes.
Derek, this one might be more for you unless Leander's Irish geography is insanely good, but you can choose between Cape Town or the great Athlone town.
I've never been to Athlone, I have to be honest.
You're better off.
I'll go with Cape Town there.
Athlone, Cape Town, I don't like it.
Really?
Yeah, most of my family is there, but I don't usually visit.
Okay. Well, I will have to get you an Athlone town soccer jersey then, I think, Leander, even though I don't like Athlone town either, yeah. I'm a Sligo Rovers fan, so I don't like Athlone.
Oh, really? I'm a Cork City fan. I followed them around the country before I left, but Athlone were in the first division the last time.
Oh.
Cork City won the league in 2005, so it was the only season I hit every away game that year, even like Derry. But yeah, Athlone were in the first division, I remember at the time, so I didn't make it there.
Jeez, yes. No, I've been Sligo Rovers. I was sort of thrown into it by accident. Athlone town is like 40 minutes away, but I still prefer Sligo Rovers, so I'll stick with them. I've gone this far now at this stage, so let me see what's the next one then. So we've got a choice between the great South African Louis Oosthuizen or the great Irishman Shane Lowry.
Louis Oosthuizen.
Yeah, you're just going home territory there.
Yeah. I'll go for Louis. Yeah.
Nice. Louis did.
Shane Lowry's good crack, and he's a big Gaelic man as well, Shane Lowry.
Huge. Yeah, he's sponsoring off-league Gaelic football now at the moment, underage. He's
a sad, yeah.
Yeah,
it's quite a thing to do when you think about it.
It is, in fairness, yeah, it's a good one. The next one then, South Africa's finest Charlize Theron or Ireland's Saoirse Ronan?
Charlize Theron.
No question for Leander, straight in.
Yeah.
Derek,
my wife might listen to this, so I'm not sure that I can make a choice there and give it away, you know.
Yeah, okay.
You're basically asking me, do I like South African girls or Irish girls? And my wife's South African, so there's no way to answer that question.
Okay,
none at all.
Fair enough, I'll take that. You could choose then either. I haven't heard of this South African food. Is it biltong? Is that South African food in South Africa?
Biltong, yeah.
Yeah, or famous Irish bacon fries in a pub.
I have bacon fries.
Bacon. Biltong is too hard to choose, so I'll choose bacon.
Okay.
You know, it's funny you mentioned biltong because the people that come here seem to love it. And Kevin O'Brien is actually a big fan. I follow him on Twitter, and he goes on about it from time to time. There's an Irish biltong company, and I think he maybe is like an ambassador or something like that.
All right. Is there some protein or something in it if it's a company like that?
Yeah. Yes. The Americans call it jerky, which is a poor approximation, really. Biltong is by far superior. It's fantastic, but yeah, it's got high protein. And you know who else is? Paul Dunn. I went to watch the South African Open a couple of years ago, and Paul Dunn I think he was up towards the top or leading for a while, and I watched him pull biltong out of his little snacks compartment on his golf cart, you know, because it's high protein and will sustain you for a while.
Okay, I have to. American jerky is rubbish, so I'm guessing biltong is more authentic.
Far superior.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take that. And then if you could choose, then you've got South Africa at the Rugby World Cup final, South Africa at the Cricket World Cup final, or an Irish All Ireland final. You've one ticket. Where are you going?
I'll be territorial. South Africa.
Nice.
Which one though, rugby
or? Rugby.
Okay. Good. Derek, where are you going?
I've never been to an All-Ireland final, so I would definitely want to get in there, but I wouldn't turn down any of those tickets if you're offering this.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be upfront.
Yeah. You know. You haven't been. I think I've been to like 3 or 4 All-Ireland finals where Cork have been involved, so you'll definitely have to get to one.
Really?
2010 football against Down. mid 2000s. That game against Clare, I think, where Westmeath were in the Christie Ring final beforehand. I've been to a few of them, and they're all very memorable matches. Definitely, the football one was actually pretty good against Down. I know the hurling though was just so much better, obviously, but the football one was quite good that year. It was a bit of a surprise. Cork versus Down wasn't what anybody expected that year, so you'll have to get over to a game to an All Ireland definitely. So, and the jerseys then, because I'm trying to promote clubs jerseys and stuff, and just try and get them a few sales and stuff. So obviously O'Neill's, as I know myself, because I've got mine on. So people go to the O'Neill's website, they'll find all the South African gear.
Yes, they will. There's a SA Gaels page there, and as I mentioned earlier, O'Neill's have been brilliant for us whenever we've got a tour on the kit that they put together. Like Luyanda's got the one from 2019.
Yes.
Yeah,
and nice. I think actually the biggest hit was the 2016 one. That's my favorite one. It's similar color scheme to what you've got on there. A different version. Whereas you see Luyanda's has a slightly different thing going on there. But O'Neill's have put together some unbelievably brilliant jerseys for us. So yeah, you go onto the O'Neill's and just search for the SA Gaels. You'll find quite a lot of kit there, and they've got things like hoodies and stuff going on too.
Well, to add on that, in 2019, this jersey was stocked out. For this one and the Australian one. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Hard to get it.
Yeah, this was hard, this was hard to get in 2016. So yeah,
really.
Yeah, that's a good sign. Yeah, I have the behind me. That's actually New South Wales' jersey. That one, so that's probably one of the Australian ones because that's really, really nice. That one. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And is there anyone then before I let you guys go? Is there anyone you want to give a shout out or a hello to who might listen in a few months when this goes out?
Anybody that's involved with the Gaels, because there's so much goodwill and support. We run on goodwill and support more than anything here. Yeah. So all of the lads that give their time on the committee, the heart and soul of the club is Luyanda, Mavis, and Andile, who are the development officers in the schools. That's really what we're all about. And anybody that we've met overseas, because whenever we go, the goodwill and the parties, and the lads will be dancing and just getting good feeling together, and that's really what the GAA is about. So anybody we've met on our travels as well. And Lou, you got?
Nothing to add on that, but I'd love to go back to Clare Island again.
That's brilliant. I like that. Yeah, we'll have to bring you back to Clare Island. Definitely, we'll have to get you to play in Mullingar here, because it has happened with other teams. The Argentina guys that I was talking to last week sent me some photos on WhatsApp, and they said, "Oh, look, you'll recognise this," and it was the Argentina hurling team playing Westmeath in hurling down the road. And been refereed by like one of my neighbours, and then one of the Argentina guys playing the bagpipes on the sideline. It was very strange. But yeah, we'll definitely have to get South Africa to Mullingar, I think, to play against Westmeath and see how you get on. It'd be an interesting affair, definitely. I would say. I'd be afraid to say who'd actually win, because the footballers are going well here, in fairness. But the hurlers are having a tough time against the Corks and the Galway of the world, I'm afraid. So. But I say the last question I asked, when COVID goes away, then who's the first team that you want to take on and beat?
The big thing for us is just to get a tour going. We want all the lads out on the pitch, ready to play each other and get obviously and the World Games.
And the World Games. Yeah, we're so eager.
There's a few people we want to meet again at the World Games and maybe give them a bit of revenge. What teams do you want to meet there?
I would love to meet Australia again and the British.
Okay.
I would love to play against them again.
Okay. Did they beat you the last time?
Yes, especially the British.
Okay. So that's funny, because a lot of Irish people also want to go against the British as well. So yeah, you're not the only place I think that wants to beat the British somehow. So yeah, okay. So we'll put the word out that to all the British clubs that South Africa are coming and they're ready to beat them. I like that. So yeah, guys, look, I want to say a big thanks for coming on. And I hope when everything gets back to normal that South Africa become the world force of Gaelic games, and that we get to see you guys back in Ireland, and we'll put you back on Clare Island, Leander. Don't worry. It might be slightly colder, slightly warmer. We're not really sure. We can't promise anything, I'm afraid. So, but yeah, guys, thanks so much for giving up your time, and the best wishes to all out in South Africa Gaels, and definitely keep in touch, because it's great keeping in touch with all the clubs abroad. And yeah, hopefully, as I said, hopefully we'll see you back on the pitch very soon and see your names in the news and everything. It'll be great. So but yeah, for now, I'll let you guys go and I'll keep in touch for sure. But yeah, guys, thanks so much. And Luyanda and Derek, it's great to meet you. And I hope everybody listens into this because it's definitely one of my favorite ones. So
great stuff, Jason. It was a pleasure chatting with you, and I love the enthusiasm for the game around the world. And this is what makes, sitting you and Mullingar and us in Joburg, but we're talking about the same thing, and it's the GAA bringing us all together, and it's amazing. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a million. Yeah,
nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too, Luyanda. Yeah, definitely. Not at all. Yeah, definitely keep in touch. Yeah,
and I'm following you. I'm following your Loaf of Bread on Facebook also.
Brilliant.
So yeah.
Brilliant. You're my number one fans on Facebook. Yeah, that's good. Brilliant. Thanks so much. Yeah, that's great. Look, I'll talk to you guys again soon. I'll keep in touch with you.
Great stuff, Jason.
Take it easy. Thanks a million.
Lovely chatting to you.
Yeah, you too. Sloan, good luck. Bye-bye.
Coming up the next day on the Loaf of Bread GAA Global, we cut into our next slice.
I was delighted to see the GAA start off, and especially here in Stockholm. And I remember the first game down in what they call it, Ostman CP. Geez, that was great crack altogether. Like, it was great to see all the Irish people there and so on and so forth. And my kids were young at the time, and I was living outside the city, and I had a great urge to go in and things like that. Like, so the nearer I came to the city, so I fell in with the ladies. I fell in with the ladies football team and that, like, and geez, with some fucking mighty players. I mean, cracking players all together. Like, I mean, we had people from the Lebanon, here in Sweden, we had people from South America, we had people from all over the place, like. And I tell you this now, I'm not like arguing, I'm telling the truth. If you train the men's team, you'd ask them to do something, and they'll give you every goddamn excuse going. You'd ask the ladies to do something. If you ask them to go through a wall, they'd fucking go through a wall for them. They were like that. They were just mentally ready for it all the time. But it was easy to train them. It was easy because we'd 52.
On Slice 20 next week, I go from the heat of the African continent to the north of Europe and the Swedish capital city of Stockholm. Emma, Julia, Philip and eventually Donal bring us through the life at Stockholm Gaels GAA Club, playing in Scandinavia against the rivals in your own nation, Denmark, Norway and nearby Finland, Julia taking up the game as a native Swede, and answering the key questions like whether ABBA are really the greatest, who was the better DJ, Avicii or Mark McCabe, H&M or Pennies, and the crucial choice between the dazzling Northern Lights or the dazzling Lights of Coppers. That's next Thursday morning from 9 AM as we continue with 2 slices a week. I'll see you at the Arrivals Hall, but until then, check out the various clubs on the Instagram page and see all the amazing work they do and some of the nicest GAA gear going. Find the podcast on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter and on TikTok. Email loafofbreadpod@gmail.com or just simply hit the follow button and spread the word of the Loaf of Bread GAA pod across the globe. Slánagi.